I feel like this Cyborg sample prompt is just begging to be utilized with this specific image. All right, so Google has released the newly updated version of their Nano Banana image generation model, which is creatively dubbed Nano Banana 2. Now, this is pretty exciting, and at least based on what I've seen in the popularity of this model on X since its inception about an hour ago, folks seem fairly excited for this, myself included, so I want to do a video just testing it in our traditional testing style. We're going to take a quick look at some of the announcement posts as well as some of the prompting guides that are included if you do a little digging in some of those posts, and then we'll just jump in and start testing it. So feel free to subscribe, 1, and 2, if you do use X, you can feel free to follow me on there. We'll put the information on the screen right now. To begin, let's just take a look at some of the things outlined here in the blog post for this release, where we can basically say and see the culmination is our latest image generation model offers advanced world knowledge, production-ready specs, subject consistency, and more, all at flash speed. So there definitely seems to be an emphasis here on speed increase as well as visual quality. So obviously that's pretty much what one would expect from an iterative improvement in an AI model. Now, something that I find kind of interesting here is that they mention that this model pulls from Gemini's real-world knowledge base, which, yes, is to be expected, but it is also powered by real-time information and images from web search to more accurately render specific subjects. The deep understanding helps you create infographics, turn notes into diagrams, and generate data visualizations. So I find this powered by real-time information and images from web search to be pretty interesting, because I don't know specifically how that will affect the generated result. Maybe it can actually search things and find references for how they're supposed to look. Off the top of my head, maybe just like a car model or something where it knows, oh, that grill is supposed to have 4 slats in it vertically instead of 3. It could be a pretty unique way to make sure that its capability reflects real life detail. Now, I also want to quickly mention the blog post announcing this release for Google DeepMind, because they do mention it, but they also have this hyperlink to view the prompt guide, and there are often a lot of polarizing opinions on how you should effectively prompt an image model. I personally like to use simpler prompts because I find them funnier, but there are some good examples here to draw upon, so I may very well use some of these to kind of be the foundation for some of our more intricate testing today. And we will also, of course, test editing capabilities and things like that. So I did just want to specifically mention this for anyone interested in finding more suggested prompting guides. But with that, we're basically now all set to go here, and I will be using this today just from the Google Gemini app, where we see that the pop-up is down here in the bottom. So let's try it. So if you've watched my image model testing videos previously, thank you, and you're also going to know what our initial prompt is going to be, which is generate a movie poster for the movie Agent Poopman, and I have appended now third flush. So this will be the iterative improvement in our Agent Poopman prompt to coincide with the Nano Banana 2, a new version of this model. And we can see I'm not really going to comment fully on speed right now because I would imagine these services are fairly swamped. I do have the Ultra subscription though, so I would imagine I should get some level of priority over the normies who are trying to use this, but still, one can't be 100% sure. Oh, okay. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm judging this harshly off the bat because traditionally I'm used to seeing like a action movie real life poster here as opposed to some cartoon thing. So I'm going to try to put that aside here and we'll just take a look at this. All right, so it almost went for some form of like comic book style movie poster here where we do see a bunch of individual action. Okay, I do have to say this pane in specific is extremely disgusting, where inevitably our agent here is surfing on some brown liquid. We do also see agent splatter, agent wipes. Okay, we seem to have 2 agent splatters and 1 agent wipes. I would imagine this individual running perhaps could be a bad guy. Maybe these are the bad guys. I don't know. Coming this fall, may the flush be with you. And something to always point out in these is oftentimes, historically, the text at the bottom of the movie poster has not really been very legible. This one is Plunger Productions, Royal Flush Studios, and then G for giggles. Okay, or how about R for repulsive? I mean, I've been up for quite a while, so excuse me. Interesting, we do even see some aged kind of effect in the top corners here of this movie poster. Fortress of Foulness. Yeah, and it does, from this photo, look like this individual has his hand deep down in there. So, top secret something. We have a tool belt. The plunger interesting. And I'm not entirely sure what this creature is supposed to be, but I think one could use their imagination. So again, overall, I'd have to say this is a it's result. So, all right, I'm going to close out of that now. And let's just try an improvement. I've just said, hey, I'm not a big fan of this comic book style. Could you just make this reflect more of perhaps a human action film? This is just weird. Everything here has become far more sinister. I mean, what could have arguably been a cute creature previously, this is just disturbing. This is disturbing. And then this is just, all of these characters look deeply sick. So, I mean, this one has like, I've seen commercials for this condition, but like, so I'm now asking for a retro LAN party photo as if it were taken in the year 1998. I have just had these prompts enhanced by giving the actual article here to Gemini and saying, based off of these suggested tactics or things to do in this article, please enhance these prompts. Okay, so let's take a peek at this. This is very interesting. So we do see Quake posters on the wall. The computers and monitors all seem relatively all right. And this individual is drinking a Coke. There is a Nirvana shirt. We do see a basement aesthetic as well. And there are beige towers and CRTs. Now, it's interesting to me because I tested this specific prompt prior to filming this video, except I just basically said 1998 LAN party photo. So this is what it generated, and this was Nano Banana. This was the same exact model. And just from that simple, like not even a full sentence prompt. So yeah, this is more cluttered and perhaps less realistic from like there wouldn't be this many people in that small of a space, more than likely. But just the way the PC Gamer magazine is seen on the wall, again, the Nirvana poster, we have Korn posters, and I also noticed there's an Ethernet switch here in the top right, and it does almost look like the cables are actually plugged into where they would be in real life. The monitors do have some like first-person shooter style game on them, and it's just interesting to see. It's not a huge difference considering the intricacy of the prompt for the photo we just saw prior to this. This almost looks like a photo taken now that was staged to look like it was 1998. And maybe that's like, that bag is definitely too new style for that year. I now want to try an infographic, and in this specific case, it's just going to be an infographic titled The Evolution of the GPU, and we should just see a bunch of different GPUs from 1995 to 2025. All right, let's take a look at this, keeping in mind that we did tell it to have some specs like VRAM and transistor count displayed as well. So, okay, 1995, the Dawn, the 3DFX Voodoo card, and that does seem to be something that jogs my memory, although I don't know if the specific year would be correct, so someone may have to correct me. Okay, transistors, 1 million, VRAM, 4 megabytes. Following that, the first GPU, the GeForce 256, and again, this is where I'm not really going to know if this is true or false, so someone can help me out on that. I do see though, okay, moving on, 256 megs of GDDR3, the GeForce 6800 Ultra, and then our transistor count is going up. Following that, we have the Tesla architecture, the GTX 480, 1.5 gigs of video RAM, 3 billion transistors, and the shape of the cards do seem to reflect their progression over time, especially this one right here. Following that, we have, I've seen this card before, it's a very aesthetically pleasing card. This says it's the Pascal Leap, the GTX 1080, 8 gigs of VRAM and 7.2 billion transistors. Following that, of course, the RTX era, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're probably vaguely familiar with this overall shape. So 10 gigs of GDDR6X. And then finally, we have the next gen, the GeForce 5090 Conceptual, 24 gigs of GDDR7. Okay, so not quite, I mean, that would be 32 gigs, but overall, this did okay. I suppose it's clean, everything is kind of laid out properly, and I can't specifically fact check all of the information included here, but overall it was a clean result. Next up, we're trying a close-up shot of a smartphone screen displaying a Reddit thread about a new AI video generator. The top comment says this is getting scary, followed by a long chain of basically random comments. The text is sharp and legible with the characteristic Reddit font and layout. Kind of hard to see, but it does. The first look at the new Sora AI video generator. It's unbelievable. I find it interesting that it used Sora instead of Veo, which Sora is OpenAI's and Veo is Google's video generator. This is getting scary. Totally uncanny valley. Agreed. Exactly. Dead internet theory seems more real by the day. Calling it dead internet theory is lazy, and it does seem like these comments have devolved into just folks arguing. So this is somewhat realistic in that regard. So now I want to try some image editing or mock-up based on an image. So I've given it this hand-drawn Stevie Slappis portfolio wireframe, and I'm telling it to create a high-fidelity digital mock-up of how this UI will look when finished, including information that should be filled in for the candidate's experience, just basically in the About, Contact, and Skills section. Okay, very interesting. I guess that's a very literal take on how this should look. To be honest with you, the more I look at this, the weirder this gets. This literally created this digital graphic and then pasted it over the image that I gave it, because we can see the background of the table that that hand-drawn wireframe was placed on, as well as the actual corners of the paper. This is odd. Not necessarily what I had in mind. I should have, I suppose, specified I wanted this turned into a website, which I will do because this does have multi-turn additional editing capability. So is this malicious compliance that we're experiencing? Because it literally took the same thing it created and then pasted it over a photo of a laptop in the same way that it just had pasted it over this photo of the wire. This is some rather odd behavior, I do have to say. I don't know what to make of this result. You know, I think after that, I'm just going to try one of these random samples. Let's go with the Runway one. Add photo and describe changes. Oh, okay. So it just said add your photo and describe the changes you wanted to make, keeping in mind that I selected this Runway style. So I've given it this photo of myself with the Honda Beat, and I said put the man in the car on the runway as a high fashion shoot. All right, this one's worthy of downloading and looking in a more expanded manner. Wow. So, all right, first and foremost, I don't necessarily know that I don't find that that looks like me. You may have a differing opinion. Regardless, it kept the scale of the vehicle proper, at least in accordance with the human, who is hypothetically myself. I do have to say this is very well done. It kept the rims that this specific car has. It even went as far as emulating what the door would look like open, which it was not in the source image that it was given. All of the elements are correctly there. We do have some blue lighting effect that would just seemingly mesh with the lighting of this stage. The odd clear chairs lined up here, I suppose, would be something you would see at a runway show. I personally cannot really comment on whether or not that is the case. And just the very black with a black vest, with a black shirt, with a black tie, and black dress shoes. I'm telling it, incredible. Now make this a fragrance ad for the scent influencer status. Wow, that was good. I'm happy with this. To go from this to this, I do have to say that's a relatively impressive capability. Very, very interesting. So it went ahead and specifically mentioned Honda. So we have the Honda Influencer Collection, Influencer Status Eau de Parfum, and then we have the perfume bottle down here as well with the Honda Beat logo, and that is a relatively correct depiction of the way the Beat was styled. That is the name of that vehicle. Very interesting. I didn't really necessarily want it to include Honda. I just kind of wanted it to be the influencer status scent. But overall, this is I like this. I'm gonna let me know in the comments if you would be interested in purchasing this. I'm giving it very minimal information here, so I'm saying place this image on a book along with the title of the novel, because I'm partially curious to see what it decides to title this specific book, and then I want to see if it just gives us like a realistic looking marketing photo from what would presumably be some form of romance novel. All right, we've received the result. I have not yet seen it, so let's scroll down and see. Very good. The Distance Between Us, a novel by Emma Clark. And I do have to say, while it may be hard to see on first glance, the actual way it integrated this photo into the cover does seem to mesh well with some of the kind of fiber texture we can see in the cover of this book. We do also have some information on the spine, such as the title and the author, and that is all done relatively well. It did a good job of kind of transposing this onto the book, and interestingly enough, it opted to use an old-looking book, so not a brand new book to look like it was being marketed for sale, perhaps keeping in the theme of the image, which is in an older house. Well, hypothetically, it's an AI-generated image, so interesting. I'm now giving it this photo of the arcade machine that I built to do vibe coding stuff on, which is behind me now. I don't know if it's easy to see or not. And I've just told it the device is called the Ominous Dream Machine. It's just a name I made up. Create a 9x16, so kind of a portrait advertisement for this device with neon vibes and highlight retro-futuristic dystopian aesthetic of the device, change the on-screen game to look like a retro-futuristic racing game, and include catchy statements and specs of the hardware running the game. Creating a video. I believe saying 9x16 here may have confused this. I'm going to stop it because I don't want to do video generation right now. Your video's ready. Alright, well. Alright, that's actually pretty good. I didn't expect this, but that is very well done. So I did not anticipate this being the end result, but that's quite impressive. Now, of course, the big issue is we need to edit this. So now let's see if it understands. I just put photo in caps. Okay, good. Now it's loading Nano Banana 2. All right, so starting from the top, we have the Ominous Dream Machine, and there is smoke here, and the font is pretty cool that it's chosen to use. I very much like that. Now the creepy cyborg hand kind of reaching into the scene with the glove here, which seems to have fingers in it, but no actual arm going into it. That is all very disturbing and not something that I necessarily asked for, but regardless of that, we do see seemingly these placed in some form of arcade, being that there are multiple in view of this image, and we can see out the windows in what looks like a city filled with advertisement banners and things of the sort. It did do a good job here keeping the steering wheel, the joystick, and actually I will say the exposed Allen hex bolts here that it kept are actually somewhat impressive. We do have a very Neo-Kyoto Knight Rider look here, which is obviously a cyber like DeLorean, and then we have our speedometer as well as our speedometer on the other side here. I do have to say though, this is kind of disturbing. I mean, I did say make it kind of like dystopian. Oh, so that's on me. This is absolutely very well done then, in that case. And then we have our specifications as well. Spec sheet, customized PCB V3.14, quantum tensor cores, and a 3.5mm audio jack. Dark matter cooling. Wow. I've just given it 5 random photos, none of which are related at all, and said you must combine these photos in a plausible manner. If you may recall, when we first looked at the announcement blog post, they showed about 15 specific or 14 specific images being combined into a scene, although they were all pretty like related. It was like a farm with a bunch of farm animals and like a farm truck. So this is a little different. This photograph features, oh, okay, so I think it's just, okay. That, I'm going to be honest with you, that's really well done. So it placed our couple from our romance novel into the photo as if they're taking a picture with this arcade machine. It then put the Stevie Slappis hand-drawn wireframe on the screen of the arcade machine. It put the Arduino wiring diagram taped onto the wall, and that actually looks like a really convincing printout of what that would look like on some grid paper. It is also framed, and it's just shown 4 individual times. And then finally, it framed the photo of myself with the Honda Beat on the table just to make it look like a framed photo. I don't know how one would specifically go about trying to link all of these images, but I would go out on a limb and say this is probably one of the best possible ways in which this could have been somewhat plausibly done. I am extremely impressed with this result. So I'm giving it a screenshot of my YouTube channel that I did just take, and keep in mind if you want to go and watch this video because it totally flopped, I would appreciate that, but I'm going to ask it to change all of the thumbnails in this image to look like a 1 million subscriber channel thumbnail style. And this is always an interesting test because it has to change a bunch of individual images. This is almost analogous to having it make like a pane of a bunch of different images. It's almost like a comic strip that it has to create because it has to keep consistency on them, and we'll see how well it maintains the actual text in both the thumbnails as well as the actual video titles. So while I was able to regenerate these previews, please keep in mind I cannot make changes in your... Okay. Ugh. These are horrible. I don't like this. This is definitely a style. Okay, the AI coding royale where put them all in an arena or a boxing ring, that's actually... That's interesting. The Quen logo, the way it's stylized it here is actually pretty interesting. This one's actually well done because it's a plausible... This is the kind of thumbnail that you see in like all the faceless slop channels that are trying to copy my style when they do these showdown videos. But this is actually fairly realistic to something you may see. Additionally, testing the perfect model, question mark, and the way he's just looking at some futuristic looking thing. The truth, did DeepSeek really steal Claude? Oh, I hate that I kind of like this better than the one I used. Lyria 3 first test. Okay, I don't think it fully understood that Lyria 3 is music generation. Grok 4.20, the unfiltered beast of big upgrade. Gemini 3.1 King, testing. Quen 3.5 plus vibe coding. And it did keep all of the text here relatively good, but I find it interesting that it changed the title. So that's odd. It changed some of the titles as well. I definitely did not title this video The Unfiltered Beast. And I have no intention of making titles like that, but it did keep a consistent thread of theming woven through this image. So that's a hard test to actually pull off properly. All right, what's up with this Salon thing? Are we supposed to be able to give like different hairdos? Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to give it the photo of myself with the robot. This was taken a long time ago in 2022. It was one of my robotic prototypes, which is why you see a projector showing a face here. And it could speak with GPT-3 and GTTDS. So this was prior to ChatGPT. And we'll just see what it does. Okay. I mean, yeah, that'd be great. But unfortunately, genetically, that sort of hairdo is no longer possible for myself. And I'm okay with that. I guess I never really gave a crap about eventually going bald. I know folks are divided on that sort of thing. Very interesting. It looks like me. It's better looking. You know, I'm not gonna glaze myself. He looks like a... Actually, you know what? I should just tech now. Silicon Valley's new icon. The standard ARGs, or the new standards. Okay, it's Cybersecurity Trends 2024. Formulation. Okay, the AI revolutionary, how he's shaping the future. We do have a barcode. Very good. And the magazine is called Tech Now. This just looks like an X profile photo. I've noticed a lot of folks seem to have somewhat embellished photos of themselves on that platform. To that point, this could also be used for like catfishing purposes, were I to have like a, you know, so very interesting. I should put this as my X profile picture. All right, I want to do something similar to what we just did previously, where I've selected the enamel pin preset and then given it this AI generated photo, and without any specific caption, because the previous result was quite well done. So I want to see if we get an enamel pin of this happy couple. Wow, that, you know, why? This is so perplexing to me. Multiple models now, impressively capable vision models, have hallucinated a wedding ring on this finger. The Quen models have all done it. Every Quen 3.5 model I've given this to has hallucinated it. Maybe there is. Now that I look at it closely, there does actually seem to be something there. I think it looks more of like a skin thing, but if anyone knows of like a Etsy service that makes these sort of enamel pins, I will get this made. Not as like merch. I don't do that stupid stuff, but I will get one of these made for my own purpose, and then I'll do like a giveaway. I'll get like a batch of them made. Just send them to people. All right, so I've given it 2 photos of the Bob the Sentient Washing Machine, which is an open source Raspberry Pi enabled AI voice chatbot that I did build. And I've given it this photo and said, you're a high-end designer at an NYC advertising firm. The client has given you these 3 images and tasked you with creating the perfect ad for them. However, they have not given you any additional information. This looks like a horror photo. Meet Bob, your new favorite family member. I don't know why they're holding a photo of themselves, but the way, I mean, Bob is 3D printed. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we can really see some of the actual texture from the print here, as well as the name tag, which does in fact exist on the original. And then now Smart Cycle, load ready. So we do have the edition of this text, which was not, neither of these were included in the original, but IntelliHome, meet Bob, your new family member. I like this. I feel like this Cyborg sample prompt is just begging to be utilized with this specific image. And again, I'm going to give it absolutely no prompt here because it seems to do quite a decent job enough without that. That is not right in any stretch. That I almost don't want to show anyone this because I feel bad. That is just awful. Okay. Why did this decide to put me in the spandex cyborg suit? I have no idea what led to this decision, as opposed to actually just modifying cyborg that was actually present in the image and not the human. This is wrong on so many different levels. I'm deeply uncomfortable by this result. And to be honest with you, I feel like this makes me look fatter than I am in reality. So I'm also, not only am I concerned, I'm insulted. I can't help myself though. I know this is the last thing I'm going to do because of how disturbed I was. Actually, yeah, I think, all right. I think I have a lead on something here. All right, once again, we're using the Cyborg the Cyborg preset, and I've just given it the Bob the Sentient Washing Machine photo and then the photo of our happy couple. And I'm quite eager to see what this comes up with. Oh, there you go. That's significantly less disturbing. Imagine seeing this and being like, wow, that's so much less scary than the previous image. And what's up with the hand? I mean, the hand was, not there. And then you just have that in the background. It looks like a... Put this on a VHS box cover with the title. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with this video. Alright, so I gotta film this outro quick because that's going to conclude our first look and testing of the newly released Nano Banana 2. I do have to say it's quite apt to work well with multiple different images and weave them together. It did do a very good job with the arcade image when it had to implement a bunch of unrelated images. It seems very good at that, and also using those sample images as a base for additional images you add in produces very interesting results. So I don't have a ton to say about this. I really do think the video speaks for itself. It's definitely impressive, especially with its multi-image input capability. And truthfully, I don't think I've laughed this much when doing an image generation test for a YouTube video where I'm testing the model on camera. I mean, this model is very fun. And it is quite good. So that is going to conclude our first look and test of this model. I do have to apologize for some of the Cyborg results that we received, which were rather disturbing. And really, I'm interested to see what folks find for use cases for this and see what they come up with in testing it as well. So thanks for watching.